I would see my local mail carrier like every day. She would be bringing packages up for me. So it got out of hand. I hope people take it seriously, like everything's good until it's not.
Welcome to Watch Smarts, where smart people get smarter about watches. I'm your host, David Newman. Let's jump right in. Welcome to another episode. We have collector extraordinaire Paul Cipriano with us. Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you, David. Thank you for inviting me.
So my first question, which is kind of a fun question, is what was the first watch that you got as a kid and what was cool about it?
I always was interested in my father's watches, and he didn't have any like real luxury brands, but I was still fascinated by them. I studied them, the case and the shapes and the expandable bracelet. So he didn't have a vast collection or anything, but he had some nice watches, and he always wore his watch. And I think early on, I noticed watches from my father having them.
That is great. Now, it sounds like he was fairly permissive with you as a young lad getting involved in his watches. Were there some watches that were off limits or super valuable and protected, or he let you play and touch with everything?
Yeah, I could look at them. I mean, they wouldn't have fit me because they were too big for my wrist.
Of course.
But he would try and answer my questions. And I guess he had more of a traditional style with watches, nothing extreme or anything. It was definitely part of his daily wear, and it was important to him. And, in addition to putting on a shirt and tie and a suit jacket, his cufflinks, he would always wear his watch. And that was part of the daily wear of being a professional.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Paul, let me ask you, what was your first watch that you bought with your own money? And do you remember what it was and how old you were?
Well, my Timex. I had some Timexes and digital watches, and kind of was interested in them. I thought that they were comfortable, and I liked the different features with the Timex watches, but I've been more interested in watches, let's say, in the last 5 years, whereas before I was sort of like mildly interested, but not all in.
Right.
I have been in the last 5 years.
Right. No, that makes perfect sense. Do you still have some of those original Timexes from your early days?
I think the oldest watch I have is a little, between 10 and maybe 15 years old. I'd have to research it as to when it came out. But yeah, I still have that one. It's one I'm always going to hang on to. It's got battle scars and stuff. And it's kind of funny how along the way, this hobby has gotten me to find out things about watches. I mean, the watch I'm talking about is a Timex Ironman, and it has a negative display. And I remember previously I had earlier Ironman that didn't had a regular display, and I didn't like the negative display as much as I liked the earlier one. So I remember I took it to a local jewelry store a while ago, and I went in, I asked the guy behind the counter, what's up with this? Is there any way I can get this so that it doesn't have the dark display? And he explained to me, no, that's how it is. You can't change that. You're stuck with the dark display. So that was a little bit of an education. And my first watch with the time setting with pulling out the stem and stuff. I was so intimidated by that I would take it to jewelers just to have it set when we would come up with daylight savings time and standard time.
Yes.
And I would get some weird looks by the guys behind the counter, like, no. It's just but I thought I would be breaking the watch by pulling it out too hard.
Yes. I totally hear you. That's such a great story. I mean, you do, right? When you're a new or a novice kind of person and you're not used to watches that have hands. I mean, you could beat up a digital watch, no problem. Then you get this delicate little teeny tiny thing that you're supposed to, wait a minute, I'm supposed to pull on this with my fingernail. And what if I pull it too hard? What if I pull it too fast? Isn't it going to break or fly off? And I'm sure a lot of novice people are very sensitive and very delicate around that kind of thing. That's a funny story. Let's go back. You mentioned that about 5 years ago is when you got serious. Tell us about that moment that you went from I love watches to, you know what? I want to start a collection.
Well, I have one of the oldest watches I own right now is a TAG Heuer Aqua Racer that I got when I was on a cruise in the Caribbean at San Martin. It was a limited edition. And I think we're talking about 2011, 2012. And I was really attracted to it. And that's the watch that I'm talking about that I would have to take it to stores to have the time adjusted.
Right.
Embarrassing. But in August 2023, I went on another cruise, this time to Bermuda, and they had a TAG Heuer store on the cruise ship. And I saw a Formula One that was on display on the cruise ship. And that kind of like rekindled my interest. And I was like, wow, I really wanted to see it. I went inside. I tried it on. I didn't buy anything at that time, but I haven't been the same since.
It seems that one watch leads to another and another and another and another. So you didn't buy it then, but what was the beginning? What was sort of that slow rolling thunder, where one watch and then another watch and then, I love this color? Because I saw your collection. We're both members of this amazing watch community called Watch Crunch. And, all of your daily shots, you have some really colorful, really fun watches. What was it that started that, let me get another and another? And I think you've got about maybe 30 now total, correct?
115.
That's what I said. You have 115 watches. So you are my spirit animal, my friend. One day I hope to be you. So yeah, tell us how that started. How did the collecting bug bite you and take hold?
Well, after that cruise in late summer 2023, I went back to the Timex that I had before, and I kind of like focused in on the Timex and digitals, and I really wanted to see more and more of what the Timex had, and they're available everywhere. Walmart's, all kinds of stores, and I would just look at the displays, and I started reading up on them. Information is available at your fingertips now, and I looked into the digital ones and the analogs that Timex put out. Then I looked into the ones that are sold in Japan only, and focused my attention on them because they were more elusive and hard to get. And I ended up buying a lot of watches, mostly Timex initially.
Yeah.
And then I started branching into other ones. I started getting into Casio watches, and then it just took off from there.
Yeah.
But I want to say I did get out of control, and people have to be careful because you can really lose control and mess up your finances if you don't put common sense and be responsible. And I mean, it's like everything. You can do it to excess. And
Yeah.
I did do it to excess. And, at the end of 2024, I had close to 200 watches. And
Wow.
it was out of control, and I was financing them, and it was not good. And I've sold about 100 watches since then, and I still have more that I am selling. But people have to be careful too. It's great to be in a hobby. It's great to find up about it and join, groups like Watch Crunch, which is great for so many reasons. You have access to information that they put out. You can meet a lot of people personally and through the hobby online, and learn things from them. There's information out there. So that's a good thing to have. I'm glad there is a Watch Crunch for users out there.
Quick commercial break here to ask you, have you seen all of the cool resources, downloads, and guides waiting for you at watchsmarts.com? Go check it out. You'll love it. That's such a great point that you make about the being careful. It's a cautionary tale, right? Because when you catch yourself, it literally becomes an addiction. I mean, we joke sometimes, watch fans and watch lovers that, it's an addiction, it's an obsession, all of these things. But there's definitely an addictive quality. What helped you realize, I think I have a problem and I better put the brakes on to get ahead of this?
Well, when you look at your credit card statements and things like that, that is a indicator of a problem. And
yes, indeed.
There's a lot of things out there that don't really help the situation, because there's retailers that have a pay over time feature and other things that say, okay, well, I'm not spending $2,000 at one shot or more. I'm spreading it out over, 15 months or whatever, 18 months. But, it all adds up. And, you can, be involved in things, those services that they have out there, and you can end up getting in debt a lot. And so 2024 was the year of watch buying for me. And last year was the year of selling. And I'm still in the selling mode. And I'm happy to be where I'm at, because believe me, it gets to be a mess when you're like tracking deliveries and going through the anxiety of UPS tracking and following these deliveries. And a lot of them I would have to sign for, and I would see my local mail carrier like every day. She would be bringing packages up for me. So it got out of hand. I hope people take it seriously, like everything's good until it's not.
Right. Exactly right. Now, we mentioned about buying watches, all the different places to buy watches. Two things I want to bring up, Paul. Number one, most watches, despite what people might think, most watches are not an investment. Most watches will never go up in value. They only go down in value when they're used, pre-owned, whatever. Where have you found most effective for selling watches? Is it to private collectors? Is it on forums? Is it on eBay? Where is it?
Well, I've mostly sold from eBay, and it's not that I think that's the best way to do it, but I mean, there's a lot of people that go on the eBay all the time. I have sold privately through Facebook and Facebook friends, and I've traded watches, which is good too, because then, you're sending one off but getting one back.
That's right.
But I know there's other forums out there like Chrono 24 and the forums like What You Seek and Reddit. But they're a little more trickier as far as their listing requirements and the way they want to do that. And I haven't gotten comfortable with selling them through those sites. But they are probably better because they have less of a listing fee than I have with eBay. But that's basically where I'm at now.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. This is going to be an almost impossible question for a man with 115 watches, down from 200. But I always like to ask my guests, what is your desert island watch? If you had to wear one watch for the rest of your life, what's that desert island watch that you would take with you to the desert island? And what's special about it?
Well, I've really been attracted to the Microbrands, and there's one brand in particular, Monta, that I have a lot of their watches. And of those Monta watches, I think their diver, the Ocean King, is the one that would fall in that category of the Desert Island watch. I just feel that the Submariner design is the best, and I know they're all homages in some respects to Rolex, and there's a reason why Rolex is associated with the crown. Although there may be more expensive brands out there and stuff, but to me, it's just like a perfect watch. You talk about the proportions, the bezel, the ceramic bezel, the indices, the way it's put together. And I just get fascinated by the sleek second hand. And I mean, to me, it's just tremendous. So
I love that answer. Absolutely. Well, I'm wondering, so that's the go-to. That's the go-to is the Submariner style. And I love Monta. That's a great brand, a great micro brand. I'm curious, when you're out and about or when you're hanging out with other watch folks, what is it that makes you stop and look twice at a watch?
The dial, the color, and I like the symmetry of a watch. I mean, as we're recording this, it's kind of a fun time because both Rolex and Tudor introduced their new 2026 models today.
That's right.
And they're all over social media. But Tudor, which is a great company, has a new watch that I don't know what it's called, but the indices, the markers are both Roman numeral and alphanumeric. I think the 4, 5, 7, and 8 may be alphanumeric and the rest are Roman numerals. And I just said, I don't go for that. I don't like the mixed. Give me all alphanumeric or all Roman numeral. I just think it has balance when it's like that. But again, I see this all the time. What some people like in watches is good for them. It's not necessarily something I would like. But again, that's the beauty of this horological hobby, is that it caters to a lot of interests.
Hey, David Newman here with a quick commercial break. Have you seen our social media channels that have video snippets from our favorite interviews? Check us out on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Now, back to the episode. I'm curious, Paul, what's something that a beginner collector, someone really new to the hobby, what do they focus on that it turns out it doesn't really matter?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that get overblown. I mean, people focus about lume. And lume is terrific, but I mean, I wouldn't buy a watch just because it has extraordinary lume. I mean, lume is important, and it can be done right and it can be done wrong. You can have some watches out there that the second hand is not lumed, which I mean, you got to know when the watch is working and all, and if you're able to see the second hand going around lume, then you know it's running. But I think lume is something that, yeah, if the indices are loomed and it's readable, then that's good enough. It doesn't have to have every single piece on the watch subject to lume. I mean, it's not Las Vegas, and we get carried away with the movements too. A lot of it, like, you know, is this a Salida or what type of movement? And I don't know if that's as big of a deal as we make it out to be. You know, I think what a beginner should do is use your resources, go on YouTube, watch YouTube videos, watch some of the respected YouTube hosts out there, reviewers. There's a lot of basic videos out there too that explains things like how a GMT watch works and explains terms. There's videos that are more detailed. There's videos that focus in on vintage watches, videos that focus on military watches. The information is out there. The books are out there. And the websites are good. The apps like Watch Crunch are good, but always seek to learn and improve. I mean, I'm now able to resize my watches, take links out. I'm able to take off a bracelet and put on the strap. I'm not intimidated by that stuff anymore. I can test watches. I have a time grapher. There's very few things. I don't like opening up the back of a watch. I'm not that daring yet.
Right. That's where we draw the line.
That scares the Jesus out of me.
Of course.
But things that I used to have to give to a jeweler to do, I can really do myself. I learned how to do it. I invest in the tools. And that's a nice thing, to be able to be self-sufficient with that.
Absolutely. Those are all great pieces of advice. Going back to self-education, which I also loved your answer there. You mentioned about YouTubers, podcasters, resources. I'm curious, Paul, what are some of your favorite YouTube channels or publications or books that you recommend for folks just getting into the hobby?
As far as like YouTube goes, I like Random Rob, who's been a long-time reviewer. Teddy Baldessare has a very interesting channel. Jody Musgrave as well. There's the guy up in New York whose name escapes me right now, who I think he does a bang-up job with his reviews. And a lot of them are also have Instagram accounts as well. So
yes,
they work hand in hand with putting stuff out on Instagram, maybe a reel or something, and then link it to their full review. And there's more out there that I haven't even discovered yet, but I think it's good to run the gamut and find out who you're comfortable with. I mentioned Random Rob. What I like about Random Rob is his reviews usually don't go too much more than 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And he focuses in on the dimensions. I think he ends it with a lume shot. He starts off by giving a little history of the company and makes comments on things. I never see them really, criticize a watch or anything like that. But they give a good, honest review, including the price. And some reviewers take a little longer, and there's a lot of filler stuff in their videos. They try and do like stand-up comedy as well, which may not be necessary. But I think it's good to look at a few of them and focus in on the style that you like.
Totally spot on. I could not agree more. Now, you mentioned that right now, as we're recording this, big show in Geneva called Watches and Wonders. There's also shows, obviously, in the U.S. There's small regional shows, local shows. Are there events that you go to or that you enjoy going to in person?
Well, I haven't been to the really big shows. I know the closest one to us is up in New York, or like the third weekend of October. I think it's Watch and Wonders. I'm not sure, but that would be a good one to go to. I think in the Philadelphia area, they had a couple of watch shows. They had one last June out in the suburban area at the Philadelphia Convention Center out in Oaks. They had
that's right,
there. And there's a Microbrand show as well that is also a good one.
Yeah.
And, if you follow people on social media, I'm also a fan of Mark II watches. They're based in Wayne, and they had a little show last June at one of the retail stores in Wayne. And it was really nice to go over there and meet the owner of MK2 and also see some of the watches. And it was a fun thing to do.
Yeah, very nice. Let me ask you, as we're landing the plane here, I like to finish with a little bit of a lightning round, just very quick questions, very quick answers, and there's no wrong answer. So my first lightning round question for you is strap or bracelet?
I guess I'm really a bracelet guy.
There it is. Excellent. Good job. Vintage or modern?
More modern.
Super. One great watch or 5 good ones?
5 good ones.
Buy new or hunt for pre-owned?
Oh, hunt for pre-owned.
Loud watch or quiet watch?
Quiet.
Very nice. Well, Paul Cipriano, you are a rock star. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for playing along with the lightning round. And most of all, thank you for joining me today. This was great fun.
Thank you, David. I appreciate it.
And that wraps up another episode of Watch Smarts. Listen, if you love this show, if you love watches, subscribe, download, leave us a rating or review on your favorite podcast platform, and check out all the free resources waiting for you at watchsmarts.com.